Out of that mindset of going into the other dimension, this externally, this is for real to me, these angelic voices had sounded like an angelic choir. And I'd already known that somatics, sound, vibration is one of the key elements to us being able to step through these portals into these other frequencies. Now, after that, because I'm one for always asking for confirmation, hi everybody, and welcome to another Ascension Messages. My name is Bobbie Richardson and I will be your guide for today. Today we are going to talk about some incredible messages that have been coming my way, channeled messages as well as things of the past that have come up to re-show themselves so that we can get a better bearing of what's actually going on right now, right here on Earth, on Gaia, with humanity. It's phenomenal what's happening, and way beyond what most people's minds are going to be able to handle. But this is part of the whole process of the evolution of humanity, and it is going to happen. Nobody is going to be able to stop this. This is the normal, natural way of life itself in the retrospect of nature. Growing as a seed, developing into a seedling, and then becoming the tree, and then the leaves fall, return to the ground, and then go back into the earth to form, after it's dropped its seeds, to form another tree. So it's just that cycle of life. This is normal. This is the natural process. But the reason why it's such an amazing, extraordinary adventure for humanity is because humanity has been in lockdown for a long time and only really running from half of their own potential. And that's due to the fact that we are powerful. So it was we were meant to go on this journey of losing ourselves to find ourselves, to lose ourselves to find ourselves. It was meant to happen this way, but now we are coming back to our full potential. And when that happens, the magic returns. Now, when the magic returns, you're either going to be in the vibration or frequency of clinging to, no, magic doesn't exist. This is only what we see, smell, feel, touch, is all that there is. Very logical way of thinking, and that's due to the lockdown that we were in. Or you'll be able to handle these incredible gifts that are coming our way. And I have seen this happen recently. It's extraordinary. In my own home, people are posting more and more of their own experiences that go well beyond what they used to. The information I get is that we need our logic on board. We need to ground this in a way so that when the magic comes to us, when we start to becoming more sensory, when we become more inclined to be telepathic, read into each other's minds, have these fleeting premonitions, when we have visuals coming at us that we're not used to. See, I'm used to all of this because I've had it all my life. So I can honestly say you can ground this. And when your logical brain can accept it, that is when the magic really starts, because we're literally creating a new path. We're carving a new path away from the old society, away from the old program. We don't even, it doesn't even have a bearing on us. It doesn't even touch us. There's no worries about it whatsoever, because we step out of it and we are beyond that. Also, you know, everything that they have tried to suppress us with, it doesn't matter what you've taken or not taken or whatever, none of that matters, because this shift is an evolutional shift, and it doesn't have any bearing on what you've taken outside of you. It has every bearing on what you believe and who you are, how much support you have gifted yourself, whether you can handle these new gifts or not. That is the bearing. It's got nothing to do with whether you took something or you didn't, you ate something or you didn't, or any of that. It's beyond that. So let go of the fear, let go of what you've done in the past. Just reestablish a new link to your mind and trust that all this is happening for purpose, that we are definitely in an evolutionary jump here, and we are going to carve a whole new path. It's whether you want to come or not. Anything external, we're talking AI or anything like that, it won't have a bearing on this. It's like comparing a lion to an ant. You know, not to say that a lion and an ant doesn't have their own, you know, amazing power within themselves. You know, an ant can bite a lion and annoy the crap out of it, and if there's too many of them, I suppose it can override the lion. But it's even beyond that. I'm trying to find an example, and it's really difficult for me to tell you an example of what the feeling is that they're showing me, because we're talking source energy, we're talking prime creator, we're talking the essence of everything here. And there is nothing that prime creator, the source energy, the essence of everything, is either going to accept or it's not going to accept in the relative story of what it wants to have an adventure on and go on an adventure on. So in other words, if we don't want that adventure of being infiltrated and controlled by an AI system, we decide we just don't want to do that. We realize the power within us and where we can go with this, because we have everything within us that they have created outside of us already. So the so-called powers to be have matched every frequency with an outside agenda. They've matched telephones because they knew that telepathy was going to start to become in the 1900s. And so they created the telephone outside of us. We've got our focus not within, we've got our focus outside. They can control something outside. Anything that's created in the material world could be controlled by them in that frequency. And so forth. Television, the visions that we can have, like literally seeing into other frequencies, literally seeing into different dimensions. This is all gifted within us, and it only can come from the balanced mind with the activation of the pineal gland. They told me how that happens. I'm not going to get into it. I've done other videos on that as well. The whole serotonin, melatonin balance within ourselves, and then the activation of the pineal gland and the somatic patterns. So right here, right now is a very, very, very cool time. And I've had experiences just recently. I mean, I'm a channeler and I have prophesized before in that, but now I'm starting to interact with it in a daily life. Like, for instance, my daughter was talking to her friend yesterday, and then I was working at home on my computer. All of a sudden, this image of my daughter talking to her friend went through my mind. It's like kind of like an imagination that it was, it had a feeling with it that this is actually taking place. And then when she got home, I told her the conversation, and then she said, yeah, but who was I with? And I told her exactly who she was with. And she's like, oh my God, yes. And same with her. She's had these experiences where I come out with, you know, two things in my hand, and she had to choose one, and she said it was like a knowing, Mum. I just knew that that was the one that I had to choose, and it was the one that she wanted. Yeah, like having these telepathic communications between us. So then I saw on Facebook, there's been multiple people coming up with, oh my God, is this happening with other people? Is this experience that I'm experiencing happening with other people? Where, you know, they're having visuals, or they have, you know, visions outside, and start seeing into different codes, all this sort of stuff. And they're like, am I going crazy? What's happening here? No, you are not going crazy. But what can make you crazy is if your logical brain's still holding on to the old program of logic only exists and nothing else resides outside of that. And that means we're going to keep poo-pooing our imagination and our intuition and our connection to our soul. Then when these gifts start to come through, we will have kind of like a schizophrenic kind of a feeling, and people will literally go crazy because they're fighting. No, that cannot be possible. How can that happen? I must be going crazy. Well, as soon as you say I must be going crazy, you literally are stepping into that reality of going crazy. That's why they always say, before you are empowered, to know thyself. When you know thyself, that you are source energy, which is residing through you, then you have a straight line connection to your soul, and you recognize that you are more than this body, that you are spirit residing in this body. Then these abilities that are going to come forth are going to be used in a grounded sense in this reality. And that means we can step out of that controlled system, because as soon as we have that grounding of it, they'll tell us, you have to follow us, because we're telling you, we're stopping your food, we're stopping this, we're stopping, you know, the fuel, we're stopping everything. There's nothing they can do about that, because all of a sudden we're stepping into, okay, soul, tell me my next, who am I to meet next that's going to gift me free transport, you know, to blah, blah. How can I get to point A to point B without using the old program? We don't even need it anymore. And whether it is the ability to teleport, or whether it is the ability to be telepathic, to just know who you've got to talk to just know what material to buy before they take it away, to just knowing that essence of I deserve only the best for myself becomes your reality. And so you are creating from the inside out the reality that you know you deserve. And so it is. They no longer have you and held as a victim to their limited programming. And they knew that this was going to happen. And that's why they infiltrated our psychology. They're telling me words, something to do with like they knew to infiltrate our, like just a word that they're giving me, but I'm not quite hearing it. Anyway, our storyline of who we are and how we feel about ourselves, they knew that the only way to control that is to create a very crazy ass story that involved the whole world, because they wanted to create their own perception of source energy as them as source energy. It's impossible to do that, but they tried. So they had this hold on humanity by infiltrating us with a program while we were still in a very vulnerable position of waking up, and not recognizing these new gifts within us as part of who we are. It is bringing the feminine side of ourselves together with the masculine to create something new. They're just purely running on logic, which is the masculine. They're going to also find out that they need to listen to us eventually, if they want to come with into these new vibrational evolutional places for humanity. Also, I want to bring up a story that happened to me in 2013. So in 2013, I had gone to, let's just say, a friend's place, and I ended up sleeping the night there. And in those days, because I was very sensitive, I could see into other different dimensions. And if there was any negative being there, I knew about it. Now, this person I dearly loved, and they were having trouble selling their house, and they had pretty much a negative tone about them, not normal. You know, usually I would go sleep in my car, to tell you the honest truth, but because this person was very dear to me, I didn't want to insult them, and so I stayed the night. Now, that night was a very busy night for me. So I went to drift off to sleep, and I ended up having this dream, because I know myself, even in my subconscious state, I know who I am. I'm very strong in that way, because I've had to deal with a lot. This being was trying to program my dream, take over my dream, and program it in a way that he wanted me to think in a negative fashion. And I caught it, and I'm like, nah. Tried to go back to sleep. Same thing happened. This being infiltrated me again in my dream and tried to control and program me with what they wanted. Happened a few times, and by about a third or fourth time, I woke up and just went, you know what, I'm over this. This isn't happening. By the power of me, it's just not going to happen. I don't know how it's not going to happen, but it's not going to happen. So I ended up falling back to sleep, and I asked my guides to help, which I don't very often do. But this was one of those occasions where I went, okay, tell me how to get rid of this thing. And they showed me a massive mother drum in the house, like just visually in my mind, not outside of me or anything, but in my mind, I was thinking of this drum. And then I could see it banging, like boom, 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 boom. And they said, focus on that, focus on that. So as I'm falling asleep, I'm focusing on this drum. This being tries to get into my mind, but because my mind is so pinpointed into focusing on the drum, it couldn't infiltrate me. And I realized that's how I get my power back. I am stronger than that being's focus. And it was frustrated and annoyed. Now I had the reins. I had the power. So I asked another highly spiritual person to help me etherically, like said to them, could I use you as your body to help shift one of these beings, because I want to show them just how powerful I am, because they're infiltrating my dearest, deepest friend's mind, and I wanted to clear it, help them clear it. So in the end, they said this person, from a spiritual sense, they didn't, phone them up or anything like that. In my mind, they said, yes, I could use their avatar. So it's kind of like a visual of using them sitting on the drum. And it was kind of like, instead of seeing the being, because the being was quite freaky-ish, and I didn't want to be scared by its projection of what it looked like, I used the avatar of my friend. So I then went up, and this is all within my mind, like as I'm kind of half awake and half asleep. It's a really weird state to be. It's very meditative state, kind of like I was in a fourth dimensional aspect of everything. So then I just sent it this powerful light and it ended up shifting this being and into another frequency where it kind of died in that frequency. It was going to be reborn again. And they showed me that it would be reborn as a seal, which was really interesting. I don't know why a seal. Don't ask me why some of these things happen. Anyway, after that, I know this is a really big story, but after that, it gets really good, because what happened after that, I talked to my friend about all of this the next day. We ended up having some, because that my friend had to try to get rid of it out of her own mind. And I can't be responsible for everything. If I'm responsible for everybody's stuff, then they never learn. So I had to let go after that and let them go on their own lesson and their own journey. I saw a guinea pig running around in their home that had passed over. And then my friend said, yes, that was true. So that was my kind of confirmation. A guinea pig they didn't have any land or anything. They literally had these guinea pigs living inside, but I didn't know because it had died. So they said, yes, our guinea pig did die. And we actually often thought that it might still be running around in the house. So that was interesting. Just confirmation, So anyway, I went home and I went, oh my God, if I'm that powerful that I can shift that, why don't I take all of that energy that could shift something that is of negative, force, and use it to step into something beautiful, use it to create something. Or I thought, what do I want to do? I would love to be able to step into a potential earth again, because I'd already been taken there years before, and it gave me such a beautiful, peaceful feeling. So it was really interesting what happened next. I lied on my bed and I decided I'm just going to meditate, and I'm going to use this power, this essence of myself, to focus, like I did with the drum, on stepping into another dimension. Now it's kind of like meditating kind of on the edge of sleep again, just the same as what I was at night. And I ended up on a field of green. And then it was like a hill in front of me. And then I saw this incredible kind of cloud that had a hole in the middle of it. It was like a kind of like a donut-y kind of cloud, but it had like a hole in the middle of it. I walked up to it. And as I got closer, I saw all of these spider webs. I don't know what those spider webs meant, other than maybe it's my own fears. I'm not sure that I had to get through, because there's teeny little spiders. It was like a matrix of webs and spiders holding something together. It was very interesting, but still it was a cloud beyond that. So I braved it and put my hand through the spider's web, through the matrixy patterns. It wasn't really a pattern, it was just really crisscrossy. But I had the strength to be able to put my hand through, and I could put my head through, and then I was in another reality from the reality that I was. I remember a yellow blossom tree. So it was still like earth and retrospective ground, fields, but it was a different feeling, because where I come from, it was different sounds. Like, say, for instance, you know, if you could hear birds in one reality, and then you put your head through and you hear different birds in the other one. So it had a different feeling, a different everything. I did step into that reality, and then I went, oh, hang on a sec, what happens if the cloud closes? And as soon as I had that fear of what happens if it closes, it literally brought me back into my body. And the weird, strange thing was, as I was coming out of that mindset of going into the other dimension, this externally, this is for real to me, these angelic voices had sounded like an angelic choir. And I'd already known that somatics, sound, vibration is one of the key elements to us being able to step through these portals into these other frequencies. Now, after that, because I'm one for always asking for confirmation, because I need my logical brain to have an understanding and a bearing of what's going on as well, so that it's coming together. My soul gets information, has an experience. My logical side also needs to have some sort of understanding. Otherwise, I would literally lose my mind. And that's why it's important at the moment to ask for confirmation. So I stepped out of it, and then I grabbed my computer and I opened it up to, I'm pretty sure it was Facebook. And lo and behold, one of the first posts that was there was of this galaxy. And I'll show you this galaxy now. And then after that galaxy, I got another post that had this crop circle on it. And somebody had deciphered the crop circle. And when they deciphered it, when they put it into numbers first, through the pattern of the crop circle, converted it into numbers, and then they converted the numbers into words of what the meaning was that came out of it. And so the meaning was, it was an ancient Greek language, and it meant goddess of all creation. And I titled it Igniting the Code of the Feminine Energy. Exactly the same time, like we're talking, this is all minutes, you know, one moment after another. Not another day or anything, just straight up after the other. I, you know, went, oh my God, that's so cool. I just stepped through a portal of a cloud that looked like that galaxy. This crop circle comes, says, goddess of creation. Here I am, a female, igniting, you know, these codes and so forth as they're bringing them through me. Then to follow it all up, just to make sure that my logical brain would take this on as there's something really powerful going on here, I had a letter that was sitting on the end of my bed the whole time. And I decided straight after, I went, oh my God, that's so cool. Just to randomly open this letter up. I knew what it was because I had a credit card and I was waiting for the PIN number. And I opened it up and lo and behold, the PIN number was the numbers of the 7929. Those exact numbers were the PIN numbers of my code, of my credit card that I was given. I don't have that credit card anymore, so you don't have my password. That was 2013. But that's how it just blows my mind. So there is so much more going on here, guys, than what you have been taught in the schooling systems. Everything that you have been taught is literally backwards of what's real, of what your expansion of your potential is. There is so much more going on here. We are going to move mountains by activating our right hemisphere, our intuitive, our amazing gifts, connecting to our soul again. We just need our logic on board as well. We need our logic to say, yes, this is validated. This can be grounded. Yes, we can use this in our next creation of creating our next story. So the powers to be, so to speak, have been trying very hard to keep a cap on them being in charge. And they knew that the only way to do that in reflection of what was coming, meaning that we were all going to be connected through our souls as oneness, that they were to become one. And that meant that the only way they could do that outside of us is to activate us with some, external electronics, micro stuff. And so, I don't even want to go into the words and all of that. And that's what they've been trying to do, but it won't work. And it really does depend on you and you taking your power back, because no matter what happens, what you've taken or whatever, you're still source energy. So you can literally cure yourself of any ailment. You can, because you know the magnificence of who you are. And so all of that just crumbles away. So we have way more power, guys, than what we have been taught. So that was my message for today. It's pretty out there. I love you guys heaps. Until next time, bye.